is Karina Swan, and today we are going to be discussing human resource management, specifically the importance of strategic planning in this department. So I just want to go and first review of what we think a human resource department usually does. And usually that's the hiring, firing, the training. Whenever there's discipline needed, we usually go to that department, whether it's a complaint that we have or anything of that sort. Um, we also go to it, for the employee benefits hub. So we go there to kind of talk about our compensation, our benefits, anything that we have regarding our medical, anything of that sort. And I want you guys to know that it's much more than just that. When we go on to define strategic planning and specifically what it has to do with the human resource department, I found a quote that states strategic planning is an organizational management activity that is used to set priorities, focus energy and resources, strengthen operations, ensure that employees and other stakeholders are working toward common goals, establish agreement around intended outcome results, and assess and adjust the organization's direction in response to a changing environment. Now, that is a mouthful. I do understand that. However, you can definitely see that it's more to what we just mentioned in the previous slide. Here we have a lot of in-depth things regarding the human resource department that focuses more on here we are as an organization and where are we trying to end up. In order to get to that, we're trying to understand what we need to do as an organization to keep ourselves as a top competitor, as well as growing success both internally and externally. As we move along to our next slide, then we go to kind of thinking about how does that human resource department know when it's time for a company to start thinking about strategic planning and I guess adjusting their strategic planning as well. So here the first step would be is to assess the current HR capacity. Well, do we need to change our strategy? This can depend on what's going on the outside world, whether you work where regardless of where you work, you kind of want to think about technology that's upgrading and how that can impact your organization and the success of it. The next step will be to forecast HR requirements. So what am I designating each department to do? What am I designating the employees to do on an individual level as well as a whole team? Our next step would be to develop talent strategies. So to actually create steps to achieving this goal that's set in place, achieving the vision that's set in place. What are we going to allow each department to do so that once everyone comes together, whether as a department or as an individual, we can all meet the same goal and reach to the same conclusion. The last step would be to review and evaluate. So after the strategic plan is completed, we will then continue to kind of see how we did as far as reaching our goals. Were we successful? Is there any room for improvement? Were our employees satisfied? Were our customers satisfied? And that's kind of what would happen as far as developing a strategy. And the importance of this is because any company wants to become a company, establish themselves to be there for the long run. No one wants to be there for a year and then fail. In this, you have success not only for the company, but also for the employees that are there. How can we better our employees? What trainings can we implement for them to be happy as well as have a longer career here? Turnover rates are rapidly increasing, and we want to keep employees for the long run. Know that we have employees there that are not just going to quit or decide to up and quit the following day. This allows for the business to be successful in itself. The other importance of the strategic planning in the human resource department is to keep up with the times that's going on. Whether I know in banking, I worked in a bank and we constantly had to upgrade the products that we had so that we could be in competition with those around us from the products we sold, such as ACH or Positive Pay or scanners for companies to scan their own checks. Those were definitely things that kept us there in the long run. But however, our human resource department had to say, listen, we need to be alongside of these competitors, if not before them, and how can we implement these products into our strategic plan? So that's definitely some things to think of. I like to think of the human resource department as the root of the organization. This is kind of where, through strategic planning and the human resource department being able to take control of the strategic planning, that they allow the company to flourish. So here we are as the roots, and we oversee the strategic planning of the organization to make sure not only that it begins, but following through the ending, to make sure that it was successful and that it has worked for both our employees and our customers. Thank you for your time and for